Hello, everyone. I am Angela Lee Duckworth, motivational speaker. When I talk to people about thinking, really thinking, what I often hear is a version of this. I know what I want, but I just don't know what the right decision is. Thinking correctly doesn't mean being the smartest person in the room. It means knowing how to navigate complexity with clarity, doubt with patience, and emotion with purpose. And it's something anyone can learn. I wasn't always good at it. In fact, early in my life, I mistook quick answers for good thinking. But thinking well isn't fast, it's disciplined. It's often uncomfortable. And the first step is to realize that your brain doesn't naturally default to truth, it defaults to comfort, to familiarity, to speed. If we want to think correctly, we have to override those instincts. Let me share something with you. I've worked with people from all walks of life, students, professionals, leaders, and there's a pattern I've seen. The people who consistently make better decisions aren't necessarily the ones with the highest IQ. They're the ones who ask better questions. They slow down when it matters. They seek out disconfirming evidence, that is. They look for what might prove them wrong. That takes humility. That takes courage. So, how do we teach ourselves to think correctly? First, we learn to separate facts from assumptions. That sounds simple, but we often build entire beliefs on guesses we've never tested. Second, we challenge our first reactions. The first conclusion you come to is usually the easiest, not the best. Third, we recognize when emotion is leading the argument. Emotions are signals, not instructions. They're valuable, but they're not always reliable. Fourth, we build the habit of reflection. Not once a year, not once a month every day. We ask ourselves, what did I get right? What did I miss? What am I assuming? And finally, we stay curious. Curiosity is the engine of right thinking. It's what keeps us learning when we'd rather judge, exploring when we'd rather retreat. Teaching yourself to think correctly won't win you applause in the moment. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's often invisible. But it will shape every decision you make, and over time, it will shape your life. Because if you learn to think correctly, you learn to live intentionally. And that, more than anything, is what changes the world. We live in a world that rewards speed. Fast answers, fast decisions, fast reactions. They're often seen as signs of intelligence, competence, even success. But when it comes to thinking correctly, speed can be deceptive. Our brains are wired to make quick judgments, to use mental shortcuts, what psychologists call heuristics. These shortcuts are efficient, but they're not always accurate. They help us get through the day, but they can also lead us astray, especially when decisions are complex or high stakes. Thinking correctly requires something counterintuitive, slowing down. It means pausing before jumping to conclusions. It means asking yourself whether your initial reaction is based on evidence or just a gut feeling. It means resisting the urge to go with what feels familiar or easy. In short, it means thinking deliberately, not automatically. Let's look at an example. Imagine you're in a meeting and someone presents an idea that immediately seems flawed to you. Your instinct might be to dismiss it. Maybe it reminds you of something that failed before. Maybe it doesn't align with how you've always done things. That's your brain taking a shortcut using past experience to quickly judge a new idea. But what if, instead of reacting, you slowed down? What if you asked, what am I really reacting to? Or what part of this idea might have value? That small pause opens the door to deeper thinking and better decisions. Slowing down also helps you spot bias, your own and others. Confirmation bias, for instance, leads us to notice information that supports what we already believe and ignore what contradicts it. It's a shortcut that makes us feel right, even when we're wrong. When you slow your thinking, you can ask, am I being fair? Am I considering all the evidence, or just the parts I like? One of the most overlooked aspects of thinking correctly is understanding that fast doesn't always mean effective. Slowing down doesn't mean indecision or hesitation. It means creating space to examine your thoughts, check your assumptions, and ask better questions. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. This kind of thinking is a skill. It's not about being naturally cautious or slow-moving. It's about being intentional, and like any skill, it gets sharper with practice. Over time, you'll start to recognize the moments when you're tempted to rush, and you'll learn to pause instead. That pause, that moment of mental clarity, is where better thinking begins. In a world full of noise and urgency, slowing down your mind might be the most radical and powerful move you can make. Because the truth is, quick thinking might win a sprint, but correct thinking that wins the marathon. At the heart of correct thinking is not the ability to have all the answers, but the willingness to ask better questions. It may sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful and most overlooked habits of strong thinkers. Asking better questions isn't just about curiosity, it's about precision. It's about digging deeper than surface-level understanding. And perhaps most importantly, it's about being humble enough to admit, I might be missing something. Many people associate intelligence with having the right answers, but the best thinkers I've known in education, business, and life are more focused on the questions they ask. They're not just trying to be right, they're trying to understand. They don't assume they already know everything that matters. Instead, they ask, what am I not seeing? Or what would someone who disagrees with me say? This habit leads directly to a second, equally vital skill, seeking out opposing views. Most of us are drawn toward people and ideas that confirm what we already believe. This feels good, it gives us confidence and a sense of security, but real thinking often requires discomfort. It demands that we expose ourselves to viewpoints that challenge us, not flatter us. When we only surround ourselves with people who agree with us, we create an echo chamber, a mental environment where our thoughts are repeated back to us and rarely questioned. This might make us feel validated, but it doesn't help us grow. Growth happens when our ideas are tested, when our assumptions are stretched. And the only way to make that happen is by listening to, not dismissing, those who disagree. Actively seeking out opposing views isn't about conflict. It's about completeness. It's asking, what's the strongest argument against what I believe? Or why might someone reasonable come to a different conclusion? These aren't questions designed to weaken your position, they're designed to strengthen it. If your idea can stand up to real scrutiny, it's more likely to be true, useful, and durable. There's also something profoundly respectful about this approach. When you seek out opposing views, you're saying, I don't assume I have all the answers, and I value what others bring to the table. That mindset not only makes you a better thinker, it makes you a better communicator, teammate, and leader. Ultimately, asking better questions and seeking opposing views are not just intellectual skills, they are character skills. They take humility, courage, and discipline. They require you to put truth above ego and learning above pride. But if you can do that consistently, you'll find that your thinking becomes not only more correct, but more creative, more compassionate, and more powerful.